Jacqueline Lady. Jacqueline Lady.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. Let me take you off speakerphone. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Lady, and I'm calling from Oregon to share with you my experience with BARC from this past weekend. I share my experience as both a professional dog trainer who specializes in trauma cases and as a rescue volunteer. This last Friday, an alert fell into my feed in regards to 8 code red dogs who were scheduled to be euthanized Friday and Saturday at BARC. The volunteers who were working to pull these dogs were both frantic and desperate. Most dogs rescues were already at max capacity, and most boarding places refused to take BARC dogs due to the recent distemper outbreak. I spoke with Greg, the director of BARC, on Friday, shortly before the deadline of 1 p.m. Our conversation was brief, but the few words that were exchanged were troubling to me. I first asked if there was anything I could do to adjust the deadline and buy more time for the volunteers to arrange rescue tags. The answer was no. I asked if I were to make a direct donation to BARC, if it would allow for an extension. I had already pledged $1,000 to help assist with rescue efforts. Greg replied that it wasn't a matter of space or money, and that the code red dogs were, quote, not nice dogs, end quote. The phone call ended with no resolution. We did not give up, though, and 6 out of the 8 dogs were pulled from BARC, including Remington, who, according to his chart notes, was, quote, a danger to staff, end quote. Remington, though understandably stressed out, all things considered, is actually doing quite well. He has gone willingly and peacefully with all who have handled him since leaving BARC on Saturday. I was in touch with his boarding facility this morning for an update, and they informed me that Remington was not only doing great, eating his meals and drinking water, but that he was, quote, happy to see people at his door, end quote, and has not growled once since being in their care. As a trainer who is knowledgeable of canine psychology, I leave you with the following recommendations. Understand that true predatory aggression cases are actually quite rare, that these cases are the most difficult to treat and aren't emotionally derivative but are more biological in nature. Understand that most shelter dogs exhibiting stress do so because they have what's referred to as barrier frustration. In other words, being in a small cramped space with no available exit creates the feeling of being trapped. Recognize that a dog can only be properly trained when they are below their stress threshold and all of their physical and emotional needs are being met first. Similar to a child at school, only being able to learn when they are not hungry, tired, or scared. Understand that dogs, like humans, require decompression following a traumatic event, and that the act of bringing them into the shelter is classified as a traumatic event. Do not use something like a distemper outbreak as a legitimate reason to expedite euthanasia cases, especially for dogs like Remington, who have only been at the shelter for 6 days and was listed as low risk for exposure.
Councilmember Travis. Councilmember Travis.
Thank you.
Oh, hi. I'm so sorry. Am I out of time?
Yes.
Well, Ms. Lady, you are out of time, but I'm going to ask you a few questions and let you finish.
I'm so sorry.
Nope.
Thank you so much, sir. Can I just finish? I promise I'm almost done.
Hold on. I'm going to let you finish.
Councilmember Travis.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then you're going to have the rest of the time to finish your statement. But my first question is, what is your background? My second question is, you're from Portland, Oregon. How did you get involved in BARC down here? And my third question is this becoming, because I see a lot of people from out of state, is this becoming a national issue with our BARC? And then I'll let you finish your statement. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I want to address all 3 of those questions. Yes, I am from Portland, Oregon. I have been heavily involved in the rescue world for quite some time now. I do everything from foster entire litters of puppies to transporting 25 dogs 5,000 miles from down to Alabama and back. To answer your second question, and forgive me if this is out of order, yes, I am in Portland, Oregon, and yes, BARC is on a lot of radars right now, and they are getting national exposure in not great ways. There are many states who, and even cities for that matter in Texas, that have adopted much better, more humane ways to handle the stray population and so forth. I do understand that there are things that are out of your control, such as natural disasters, that frustrate the stray population. However, euthanizing in this sort of mass number is just simply not the solution to that problem.
Excuse me, how do you define mass number? How do you define that? What's your definition?
Yes, sir. So euthanizing 8 dogs in just a matter of 48 hours is more than some of the rescues I volunteered for have ever done in their lifetime.
I thought you said this. Wait a minute, because I'm not going to let you do this. You're in Portland. I appreciate all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But to talk, there's a number one, it's a 96% live release rate. There was no 8 dogs utilized. You indicated in your own comments that 6 of the 8 were given to rescuers. You said that yourself.
She said
Correct.
Eventually after she convinced Greg Daminoff. Yes.
But don't say that 8 dogs were euthanized. That's factually not true.
I'm sorry, sir. I did not say that. I'm sorry if the way that I was trying to convey that part of my information was incorrect. What I meant was that the 6 out of the 8 dogs were saved. 2 were not. 2 were euthanized on Friday. To finish your answer to the questions that you have asked me, yes, there is national exposure. Remington, for example, is getting national support currently in efforts to financially support him and secure a bright future. He is a good dog. And I just ask in closing statement that it's important to understand that dog behaviors and temperaments are not homogeneous and that it's never as easy as the dichotomy of a good dog and a bad dog. So I am very disheartened to see notes in their intake forms labeling them as such, as bad dogs, when these are simply just scared dogs who need a little bit of decompression time and resources. And Remington was on the euthanasia list 6 days after going into the shelter. He was deemed a danger to staff. That is what we were informed. From everything I understand so far, Remington is not a danger. He is a scared dog. He was misunderstood and misdiagnosed. So I strongly encourage you to consider adding board-certified behavioral veterinarians to your staff, as well as positive reinforcement trainers from the community who can work with you to better prepare these dogs for a life as a companion pet. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Anything else, Councilmember Travis?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, because I think it is important to know we put these dogs on a list and we are providing more notice to all of those who want to rescue, adopt. That is what people have asked for, and that's what we are doing. And now to criticize BARC for doing the very same thing that people asked for is disingenuous at a minimum. And to say, and now I'm speaking now, okay? Because BARC is not on somebody's national radar screen. And I'm going to defend not only BARC, but I'm going to defend my own city, council member, because that's not the case, okay? And the very fact that in working with rescuers and working with other partners, where you had 8 dogs on the list and 6 were released, I would think that's a good thing. That's working collaboratively. And I thought that is what we wanted. I thought that's what we wanted. So if not, then I'm missing something here. But I'm certainly going to be very suspect of anybody from outside criticizing what's happening here in the city of Houston. Okay, I love my city enough to step up from my own city. Now now Councilmember Travis, I'll take it from you or anybody else, but I'll be darned if I'm gonna let somebody else from outside, you know.
Yes, sir. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to rebuttal to that, but my only comment.
No, we were finished. This was just my own time. We were finished. The time had expired. This is the mayor making his comments about what's happening within this city. This was not for a response from you. I'm sorry. This is just me on my own time. I'm making a comment about the city that I deeply love.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay. Next speaker.
Nope, Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like a final comment, if I might.
Oh, sure. No problem.
I must first say that I do not know Miss Leedy. I've never talked to her before. I heard her for the first time today. I do think she brings up a lot of good points. I think the point we got to keep in mind is that we are a large city, and we are in the public eye in the nation, and how we do this matters. I think we are improving. I think you are correct on that. A lot of the improvements have been relatively recent, and I do see those, and I'm grateful for those. I just want to make sure that we keep doing that and improving. And I know you do as well, because that's what we're judged by, the compassion that we show to others, people, as well as our animals. And I think we are doing that. It is sad, though, that there's still some remnants of the old that are still there at BARC. I think that our director does not serve us well, and I think his first words out of his mouth are always no, 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 because for 5 years, that's all I've ever heard from him. I do think we have, I think Director Paez has turned her attention there, and I think I've been seeing a lot of improvements with her there and with Nikki Cooper doing what she's doing, and they're all positive. And it's going to take a while for it to filter out and change the, I guess, the reputation of BARC throughout the nation. So I don't see these people as being hostile to us. I see them as really trying to help us and help our reputation and help us with BARC. And I'm grateful for their comments, because I think while we are doing better on BARC, there is a lot of room to improve, and as long as we keep improving, we're good. If we think we've improved enough and just stop at this point, I think we're not. So again, I agree with you, Mayor, on the fact that we're a great city. Also, that we're a big city. There's a lot of things that we have an issue with that other smaller cities do not, and they cannot be compared to us. But we need to be able to compare ourselves to ourselves and ask ourselves, is this the best we can do? And I think we can do better.
I agree. We can always do better. We ought to always strive to do better. So I agree with all of that. I appreciate partners, whether they are local partners or national partners. I appreciate partners. But let's come working collaboratively to move things forward. And we don't have to indict the department or even the people who are working within the department. And again, I mean, we've got some outstanding people. But we can always do better. And we ought to always want to do better. And that's why I appreciate the staff reaching out and having meetings with our partners, taking their input, their suggestions, not being defensive, okay, but inviting people to come and assist and offer their ideas. I think those are all good things. And I dream of the day when we don't have to have these conversations at all. That's my hope and my prayer. Okay. All right. Next speaker.
Marley McDonald.
Marley McDonald. If you'll press *6. Marley McDonald. Marley McDonald, *6. Marley. Hello. Marley McDonald, *6. Next speaker.
State and Leader of House.
Tasha Cole, *6. Tasha Cole. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you.
Hi. How are you?
Doing well.
Okay. I am calling, dear Mayor and Council. This is Tasha Cole. I live at 8519 Discus, Humboldt, Texas. I am here before all of you again to speak about my concerns about BARC. I spoke about Boone, the first December case last week. I understand Director Perez explained to you that Boone was in isolation. I want to make it clear that I do not spend so much time on hold to find fault with BARC or to disparage BARC. I am simply to raise awareness of the root cause of the problem so they can be corrected by all of you. It is absolutely not true to say that Boone was in isolation. No doubt, the building Ward D, where Boone was, is old, and it does not have physical capabilities to adequately isolate animals. We get that. But while it is also the same building where adoptable animals are housed, and anyone can walk through that building, I wonder, how can that be defined as isolation? I sincerely urge you to find out if that is truly isolated area, and that's
Your
just
time
what
has
staff
expired.
do. It is
Thank you.
obvious that problems with an old, I'm sorry,
Yes, your time is expired, Ms. Carl.
my time's up.
Yes, ma'am. You were down for 1 minute.
Okay, it is obvious that problems with an old facility take time to fix, but BARC management should at least make sure across to that area is restricted to only a few employees with protective gear. Please also remember that Boone was found struggling by volunteers. That itself tells you the area was not isolation because volunteers should not have had access to such an area in a shelter. Please look into the extenuating conditions and layout of the old building. Please find out if retrofitting the building will ensure BARC to have a real isolation area to stop contamination. If not, the issue will continue. Another problem I have discovered.
No, Ms. Carl, I'll let you go over, but your time has expired. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker.
That completes the list of speakers.
Thank you very much. We stand in recess until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Why I can't